and together we will support each other through this.
Ontario looks to extend its state of emergency even later into the summer.
Trans lives matter! Trans lives matter!
A major victory for the LGBTQ community with a U.S. Supreme Court decision. Humber College spring grads celebrate virtually. Humber News starts now.
Hello, I'm Lucy Lau, coming to you with our virtual newscast for Humber College. It's Thursday, June 18th. Here's what's making news. Ontario isn't in the clear just yet. The province wants to push its lockdown even further into mid-July. The legislature will debate the decision next week. This comes after another extension was approved, despite a decrease in COVID-19 cases.
Premier Doug Ford has extended Ontario's emergency measures to June 30th. The news comes as many regions in and around the GTA prepare to enter Stage 2 of reopening. Toronto, Peel, and Windsor-Essex will remain in Stage 1 due to a high number of coronavirus cases.
We're making steady progress, and if we keep working together, I'm hopeful that all communities in Ontario will be able to enter Stage 2 very, very soon.
To aid in the economic restart, the Ontario government has released a new COVID-19 safety plan guide. It includes more than 100 tips to keep employees and customers safe as businesses begin to reopen.
This is about giving businesses and owners the tools and resources they need to adapt and succeed in this new reality. It's up to everyone to support our local businesses during these difficult times.
At the federal level, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the Canada Emergency Response Benefit will be available for an additional 8 weeks.
Our government will continue to be there for you. This pandemic is an unprecedented challenge for our country, and we're going to make sure that all of our supports, including the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and employment insurance, are working effectively to get Canadians back on their feet.
The government is also giving provinces $14 billion to fund childcare, COVID testing, and workplace safety programs. It's also announced the Canada-US border will remain closed until July 21st.
South of the border, a Supreme Court ruling marks a major victory for LGBTQ communities.
The United States highest court has ruled gay and transgender people are protected under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. It bans workplace discrimination based on sex, race, national origin, and religion. The 6-3 decision is seen as the most significant event for LGBTQ rights since the U.S. legalized same-sex marriage in 2015.
We share this victory together as a community, and I learned early on that this was more than just about my own personal circumstances, that it impacts so many people across this country.
The ruling comes shortly after a massive protest in New York in support of Black trans lives. President Donald Trump says he'll live with the court's decision.
No, they've ruled. I've read the decision, and some people were surprised, but they've ruled and we live with their decision.
The ruling stands in opposition to Trump's usual stance on LGBTQ issues. It comes days after the U.S. government announced rollbacks on healthcare protections for trans people.
While that's one area that's seen progress in the States, the country continues to struggle with the novel coronavirus. But that hasn't stopped U.S. Vice President Mike Pence from declaring the pandemic as over. Pence falsely said Oklahoma has seen a drastic decline in COVID-19 cases. He tweeted a photo of himself and campaign staff not wearing face masks before a Trump rally in Tulsa. The tweet has now been deleted. Contrary to Pence's claim, 18 states have seen a gradual increase in coronavirus cases. Oklahoma alone has reported a huge spike in new cases in recent weeks. Many health experts in the U.S. are predicting a second wave of the virus will follow shortly. Parts of North America may be loosening restrictions, but a spike in new COVID-19 cases has China on high alert. Fears of a second wave have hit Beijing after more than 100 new cases of the novel coronavirus were confirmed in the city. The outbreak has been traced to Sinfadi wholesale market,
Health officials have set up sampling sites in parks and hospitals where thousands have lined up to be tested for the virus. This man says he went to Sinfadi Market to buy vegetables earlier this month and stayed there for about half an hour. Beijing has raised its COVID-19 emergency response to level 2, the second highest in a 4-level alert system. Dozens of neighborhoods are locked down and schools have been closed. Transportation services and domestic flights have also been canceled. Before this, the city had reported no new locally transmitted cases for almost 2 months.
As health officials continue to enforce physical distancing guidelines, many people around the world are turning to robots to get things done. Neil Gunput has the story.
In Maastricht, Netherlands, a robot server delivers drinks to a group of customers during COVID-19. In South Korea, another robot also delivers drinks to customers. In Japan, a robot is helping to disinfect surfaces like doorknobs and elevator buttons, as well as clean toilets.
We have some essential workers, the healthcare frontline, the supermarket clerk, for example, is considered as an essential worker. The warehouse people, delivery guys, and these kind of people. And the idea is to delegate these jobs to robots by making the robots more capable physically and more intelligent in terms of process. So this is really the goal.
Robots can also help out in the hospitals.
We can have mobile platforms with a TV monitor or a good monitor, just reflecting the face of a physician or nurse, which can fairly well communicate with a patient, either remotely by the nurse, human nurse, or even automatically using AI. We have the technology.
Here at home, researchers at the Research Institute of the McGill University Health Center have been testing out a new robot that can disinfect hospital beds and masks. The robot emits concentrated UVC ultraviolet light onto infectious hotspots in the hospital.
We always viewed robots as a competition to human beings when it comes to workplace. And I think one positive side effect of this pandemic was that our perspective of robots may have changed and moderated slightly to view them as helpers and perhaps positive tools for our society in the future.
I'm Neil Gonput for Humber News.
Stay-at-home measures have given many people quality time with their pets. But as Canadians return to work, experts say we need to be thinking about the health of our furry companions. Shruti Mehra has the story.
Many Canadians have found comfort in the four-legged friends during the quarantine, which has led to the increasing number of adoption rates.
At the beginning of the pandemic, so March and April, people were definitely rushing to adopt out animals. Not just actually adopting, but people were actually very interested in fostering pets from home because they found themselves with more time and more availability for this. So adoption rates definitely increased throughout the country in what was March or April.
But as businesses prepare to reopen and pet owners return to work, experts say separation anxiety among pets is high.
Separation anxiety can lead to some unwanted behaviors like chewing furniture, destroying shoes, things around the house, or soiling around the house, so defecating or urinating inside the house.
The Ontario SPCA and Human Canada are sharing how pet owners can help reduce separation anxiety in animals. Their tips include allowing pets to spend more time alone, implementing walk and meal schedules, and encouraging independent activities.
I think that the best advice for dog owners right now, if they are concerned about this being an issue, is just to start preparing their dogs to slowly, almost like wean them into them being home alone for longer periods of time.
Experts are concerned some newly adopted pets may be abandoned once lockdown restrictions are loosened. They are urging new pet owners not to think of their dogs as impulse buys.
It is important, and we always remind pet owners, not just right now during the pandemic, but at all times, that acquiring a pet is a lifelong commitment. It's a lifelong commitment for the duration of the lifespan of that pet.
Experts recommend giving pets at least 10 days to adapt to new changes. This will ensure their health and well being as many of us transition back into the workforce. I am Shruti Mehra for Humber News.
Canada's economy isn't the only thing restarting. In the world of sports, the English Premier League is back in action after play was suspended for more than 3 months.
Players took a knee in support of the Black Lives Matter movement before kickoff this week. A minute of silence also took place to pay tribute to lives lost to COVID-19. Aston Villa drew with Sheffield United, and Manchester City beat Arsenal 3-0 at home. While it's business as usual on the field, the biggest changes are happening in the sidelines, where seats will remain empty. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says players will still feel fans' support.
Stay safe. Support us from home. We are still with you, and you'll never walk alone.
Fever checks and swab tests are also the new norm. Players, staff, and referees will be tested for COVID-19 twice a week. Masks are not required in play, but medical staff must now wear personal protective equipment. Everyone must practice social distancing. Even celebrations will be limited to bumping elbows.
The NBA is also planning its return in July. Suspension of play due to COVID-19 has cost players and franchises hundreds of millions of dollars. But the NBA commissioner says getting back on the courts is also an opportunity to spotlight social justice issues.
I mean, when you think about our players, some of the best known Black people in the entire world are part of the NBA and now part of the WNBA. So we know we can have a very important voice. Let's make sure that in returning to basketball, a larger, broader message about social equality, racial issues are not somehow lost in the discussion.
The NBA is exploring what it's calling a bubble concept to keep teams quarantined for protection against COVID. Other measures will require mandatory testing. Players who are not comfortable to return have until June 24th to give their decision.
Humber spring graduates have endured the cancellation of the final weeks of term and adjustments to complete their studies online. But this week marks their graduation nonetheless, virtually of course. Abhinav Minde has the story.
It's being called a graduation celebration rather than convocation, a virtual alternative for Humber students and their families to mark the success of this year's graduates.
We wanted to recognize, acknowledge, and celebrate our 2020 spring graduates so that those individuals, those classes, that cohort had the chance to experience a graduation in some way, even if it is virtually.
For some students, especially international students who are now in their home countries under travel restrictions, the online option was a pleasant surprise.
Like a few days ago, I got an email from Humber about a virtual graduation, and I was actually really excited about it. Like, I'll be able to attend it with my parents beside me.
Organizers are clear though that this is not intended as a replacement for the in-person convocation ceremony Humber would otherwise have.
So I know that we're having the online ceremony and then eventually a physical convocation, so I haven't totally lost hope of that. But it's a big deal, you know. Graduating college, it's not something that everybody gets to do and gets to experience, so I feel very blessed.
Humber says it will schedule a full convocation on campus when it is safe to do so. Abhinav Mende, Humber News.
That's all for today. I'm Lucy Lau. Humber News is written and produced by students in the journalism program. For more coverage, visit our website, humbernews.ca, or follow us on Twitter @HumberJRNL. We'll see you again next time.